So my name's Tyler Grey. Spent my whole military career in U.S. Army Special Operations. First half of that at 2nd Ranger Battalion, and the second half of that at a unit at Fort Bragg. Deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. Then I was medically retired in 2005. It's tough in the sense that I can only imagine what it would be like to fight in a war where people wore uniforms and said, hey, I'm the bad guy. And, you know, fighting terrorism is hard because a terrorist doesn't identify themselves until they want to. That's a much more difficult way. I mean, we call it a war on terror, but it's not really a war because they don't wear uniforms, they don't say who they are, they don't fly under a definitive country, they don't have territory, we can't assault. There are no enemy lines. So terrorism is a very difficult, I'm going to call it a war, but it's not a war. It's a conflict. And it's a conflict, a war can be won. A low-intensity conflict, which is what the war on terrorism is. When I say it's an unwinnable war, the reason I say that is because it's not a war. It's a conflict. And conflicts last a long time. You know, fighting terrorism, fighting a conflict involving terrorism is very difficult because you just want to fight an enemy that shows their face and announces, you know, you want to fight an enemy. Fighting a war, you know, if another side, let's say, you know, things have gone recently pretty well with North Korea. Things are going well. But when people talk about wars with countries, I think, well, it'd be so bad if this war happened or that war happened. The thing about a war is you have definitive lines, you have uniforms, you have rules, you have the Geneva Convention, there's a precedent set. And fighting a war or a conflict with terrorists on terrorism, there is no precedent. They have no rules, they have no uniforms, they could be civilians one day blowing you up the next day. It's a very dirty style of conflict, and it is very taxing to fight an enemy who plays by no rules. That being said, it's the nature of terrorism. They know that if they played by the rules, they'd be gone. So, is it dirty? Yes. That being said, do I understand it? Yeah. It's war.